And that's weird because you would think that my friend gonna like my post, my friend gonna share it, my family gonna like it, my family gonna repost it. They're not gonna do that. They're not. They're gonna look over it and they'll tell you exactly what you got going on. But if you look in your likes and your comments, they won't do it. And it's sad because it's like, if you know everything I got going on and you say you're proud of me, why you not showing the world that? How do you feel about that?
I definitely I agree with that, and without speaking on too much of a personal note, but it's like I feel it's this reaction where the more you go to this entrepreneur journey, you become a person where you're more and more of a reminder of what they're not doing or another person is not, and they can. It's that one thing that they can be or they can do or they can change, and they're not, and you are. And the more and more you become this business person, the more and more you gain those attributes that people, I know I should really get on that, but I'm not. I know I should really begin to behave like that, but I'm not. And it's this hidden resentment that grows within them, and as you grow you can see it clearer and clearer, and so it's this kind of weird reaction, and I agree, and it's hard, but I think to an extent it's a natural human reaction that we as the entrepreneurs have to kind of calculate and be ready for, and just learn to understand better, because I see a lot of cats really get hung up on that, where it's like, they get hung up on their inner circle so much that they never leave it. And that's something I did really
Right.
early on, where I stepped out of it, and I think the big thing is dropping the ego. I mean, it's even hard for me to ask you these questions, you know what I mean? Because as a man, you want to sit and you want to say that you know it all, but I realized early on, if you want to succeed, you got to drop the ego and you got to talk to these people that are in positions that you want to be in. You know what I mean? And
Right.
somebody like you, or
That's
you in a position I want. So I'm going to ask you a question, as hard as it may be for me to get that question out, like I'm going to ask it, and I don't have to ask it again. You know what I mean? That's the last time I got to ask that question. And it's just gaining that knowledge over and over and over and over again. But I definitely agree. It's been interesting to see who backs you and who doesn't, and who believes and who doesn't, and hearing the little jabs that are posed as jokes but aren't, and those kinds of things, and just rolling with it. It doesn't really I think I have a unique outlook on it, in the sense that I don't really look negatively on that kind of behavior, because I see it as a natural human behavior. And when I see natural human behavior, it's hard for me to really be mad at it, So I kind of just roll with it. I kind of just anticipate it,
right.
calculate it into my routine, and how I talk to people, who I talk to people, who I talk to, and what I tell people about. I definitely keep the cards closer to the chest. There's certain things that you're surprised that you can't tell people about. You're like, really? I couldn't even just about this little thing that I plan to do next week, and now it's this whole big situation, and and yeah. So I really just, it's like you said, you wear all the hats, but you learn to really, you learn why. You learn why you're wearing all the hats. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was early on. That was one of the reasons that I started the business. Is this fails, I want it to fail because of me. I want it to fail because I
Right.
didn't do enough, not because he didn't do enough, not because he wasn't, chasing enough, not because, this person wasn't, intelligent enough. I want it all to be on me. If this fails, I want to
Right.
know that there was nothing to be done, because I did everything that was possible. Because I know myself well enough, I'm gonna do
Right.
everything possible to make this work. So if it fails, it's on me. And that's just
Right.
sort of my
So
outlook on that.